Just a long lost look in your eyes brings out a love that I can't disguise. So take me down to the places I've never seen. Or don't you try to kill me with kind. It's just your love that's driving me wild. Oh, from the dawn we rise, with the heart we cry, into the light we go, into the light we go. From the darkest night, from the fire inside, into the light we go, into the light we go, into the light we go.
Welcome back, guys. I know it was a bit of a break, 20 minutes, but we're here for the second series of the night of the 2018 LCK Spring Split. I'm Valdez. With me is Papa Smithy, here to bring you KSV versus Jin Air, a huge one in terms of playoff implications.
Yeah, what is on the paper in the first round robin one that seems skippable becomes so important, as right now KSV come in 8-6, 1 foot into playoffs, but that second foot has not actually reached the ground yet. Jin Air GreenWings, they're all about getting up into the air, and they are close. They are actually 1 game ahead of SK Telecom T1. So they were also happy to see KingZone win our first series, because a series win here, and they're top 5.
Certainly they are. It's very competitive between those 4 teams, ROX, KSV, Jin Air, and SKT, of course. But guys, let's introduce our teams of the night.
갈림길에선 두 팀이 만납니다. 먼저 최근에 2연승으로 분위기는 좋아졌습니다. 그리고 오늘의 1승이 포스트 시즌 진출에 녹색불을 켭니다.
KSV, there were some questions raised after they went down to MVP 1-2 in this very arena, but then they turn it right around. They defeat BBQ 2-0, and then they take out KT, one of those top 3 teams, 2-1. So they're looking a lot better in recent games.
I think SpoTV is a bit ahead of themselves. These world champions overcame the crisis. They're on the way, but they have not overcome it yet. Them not making top 5 will be a massive story for the world champions to not make playoffs. It's now looking more unlikely, but it is far from guaranteed. And losing to Jin Air here does play into the hands of KSV not being able to make it.
Yeah, not just KSV, but all the other members who are trying to make it in. KSV currently has the best score of all those other teams that are below the top 3 teams. And they're sitting at 4th, 8-6 right now.
Scary thing is, though, you look at strength of schedule, they have SKT, ROX, and KingZone. None of those are free wins. Whoa. No sign of Kongdu Monster in that list. So KSV, theoretically, this is their easiest matchup, is go to the second team.
이들은 과연 포스트 시즌 진출 그 이상을 보여줄 수 있을까요? 지켜보시죠. Jin Air GreenWings!
Jin Air looking pretty good again in recent games, but it's up against easier opponents. Kongdu Monster and MVP, the last 2 victories they took, they were sitting down towards 8th place, 7th place. After those 2 wins, they're here at 6 and 8, but they still want to get into the postseason. It's not going to be easy.
Without those 2 wins, they were right at the bottom in the relegation race, so now they feel safer from their touching distance to the playoffs when you're in 6th spot. But you're right, Valdez, it's so cutthroat here. at the end of the season, every game could matter with how much overlap there is in match score. KSV going down here would even open it up further. So if you want to see the world burn, you want to see Jin Air win, because then really it might be decided as late as the final day of the season.
It's going to be an interesting one. MT getting a big massage from the coach. He knows that MT definitely one of the players on Jin Air that's a bit inconsistent. Sometimes he has a fantastic day and we call him King T. Other days he falls flat on his face and he's diving the top lane and we call him Inti. It's hard to really distinguish, but when you see it, you'll know what to call him on the day.
And it makes champion polls pretty clear for Umti. If he has a skirmishing advantage, then you like it for Umti. If he doesn't, you don't. As look, there's some glad planes, some sad planes. There's planes everywhere today.
One on the left looks a little bit angry, but hopefully he can turn that frown upside down. That's a nice little drawing of JAG and Ruler.
Best friends forever, of course.
Yeah, just like every other bottom lane that we have here. Look at this. Things are getting better now, I suppose, as they were on the downswing down towards 6th. But now in week 7 have made it up to 4th.
I hope it's 3-week chunks, though, because they had 3 good weeks, 3 poor weeks, and there are only 2 weeks of the season left to go along what was a bit of a recovery for KSV in week 7. So 4 best-of-3s to be played for KSV to book themselves into the playoffs. You'd have to think they would need to win at least 2. So Jin Air GreenWings and SKT seem like the easiest opposition, given that Rox and Kingzone are right at the top. Looking at this here, a Jinx in Gangnam. That is a superstition. Now, I'm looking for Jinx as it's spelt there, but we're looking at the comparison to Sangam. That is where the OGN Stadium is, and Gangnam where we are right now. And, well, seems like the SpoTV studio has not been kind to KSV.
6-1 over at OGN and 2-5 over here. Seems like not happy with the studio here, perhaps. I certainly remember a lot of games I've casted where KSV did not look great. And tough schedules ahead for Jin Air. You mentioned it before, but KSV, Afrika, Kingzone, and Rox Tigers. It's just pretty much as hard as it gets. Maybe if you take away Rox and you put in KT, it would be harder.
But the amusing thing is, it's the same for KSV, except Afrika for SKT. And with SKT desperate at the end of the season, they are no easy opposition either. So lot to focus on as Crown has been well criticized in spring season, but the Vel'Koz has been his lucky charm in recent numbers. We don't show his KDA because that one game really didn't help it out. But 3-0, undefeated, and able to pump out the DPM as well.
Yeah, certainly a champion that we don't see too often, and he brought it pretty late in the season too. I think it was the end of week 6 where we saw it for the first time, and well, you can't really argue with the results. 3-0 so far. It would be interesting to see if a champion like Vel'Koz actually can draw some bans up against KSV.
And then we had the comparison of 2 junglers who could not really be any more different. We had the Herbivore jungler in Ambition, following the line of Cloud Templar as these tank junglers that farm up for team fights. And then we have a Carnivore. Umti is all about counter jungling. It's all about controlling the pace of the game. It's why Sejuani feels like a trap pick for Jin Air most of the time, because then he's on the back foot, then he's farming, and that is not when Umti has an impact. So if it's going to be a King T day, maybe we're going to have to see KSV ban away some of those dueling junglers. The Olaf is a very obvious ban targeted against Umti.
Yep, whenever you're going up against an aggressive jungler or a carnivore, as we like to call MT, you definitely have to be careful, but sometimes you can kind of bait him into going a little bit too far. We'll see how he's feeling tonight. This one says, Crown, you're really handsome, fighting. Crown fighting. I can't read the Chinese, sorry about that, guys, but some Chinese fans down here in the audience. Pretty cool to see.
We'll see if we get to see the Vel'Koz once more. The Azir matchup is very kind, and Grace has been playing plenty of Azir this season, so wait and see where the priorities are. Jin Air showed some really great pre-planned strategies on patch 8.4. They adapted well. I mean, you said it very succinctly, the opposition wasn't at the same level. Now they've played themselves into form. Can they actually find a match victory that, again, throws playoffs into disarray for both teams?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the Gangnam Studio Jinx is actually real, but every time I've cast them here, it hasn't really looked good. Outside of that one win they had over Kingzone, we'll see if they can replicate that performance. We're going to jump into pick and ban for game number 1.
Olaf may not be the first ban, but Crown has decided he's not going to play Galio ever again, and no one else is allowed to either. His 2 games on Galio were the moment where he said, okay, I'm actually going to play Vel'Koz. I've had enough of this rubbish. I'd love to see Crown on Sion. It does feel like a champion that could benefit KSV, because you think about what Sion brings from the mid lane, more space for the AD carry, and Ruler has been largely the man we shoulder a lot of responsibility on when it comes to controlling the pace of the game. KSV ban away Caitlyn and say, guys, we're going to first pick Tristana. Let's see what Jin Air makes of this.
You know, I don't want to see the Sion get through. I think after watching that last game of Kingzone versus Rocks, we're getting to a point where it just looks too strong on this patch. And if you're going to give it away as just a free first pick to KSV, you're asking for a lot out of your team.
But let's consider, Camille is also feeling like a must ban against Cuvée. Was at its majestic best on the champion against KT. I think that Tristana is what KSV crave. So to me, that's what I ban out. But you could understand Camille focus, and there is also a lot more going on in picks and bans of Jin Air. We wait a long time. Zach ban says we want to leave things open, so Zion Rakana there as well to potentially answer Tristana. Tristana has been the spirit animal of KSV. We'll see if it's actually going to be looked at, because this is actually a reach to the Skarner. This feels like the priority is changing a little bit, and feels like an enforced pick after the 2 Ambition champions are banned away.
It's interesting to see. You know, Skarner definitely another guy who's up towards the top in terms of the tier list on 8.4, but after a performance like we saw in the last series of so many Sion mids having success, it's interesting to see it go through so far. But you mentioned the Tristana. It's going to be given to Teddy this time around, a couple of AD carry bans, and they will get their first pick of the litter.
Yeah, we could see Fly on the screen considering his options, and you look at trends, and Zyra Khan has found no value at all. It's actually 0-3 as a duo for the side of KSV. So that's why you see the Tristana taken away, and why they also banned away the Zac. They basically said it kind of left the trap open for KSV, and because Zyra Khan is deprioritized, the Tristana is the reward. Been a really big pick for Roller in their Renaissance in week number 7, but KSV say numbers be damned. Zyra Khan is the best choice here, and you can't argue with that. It's the right way to go when it comes to power from the bot lane. So the Lovers duo for the duo only in solo queue. These guys got to top 5 rank on the Korean Challenger ladder duoing. Fallen away a little bit recently. I saw Ruler cheating on him a little bit and playing on the solo queue, so I don't know what that's all about.
Saw that recently. He was playing with Ignar, actually. I don't know if they were queuing up, but I saw on Faker's stream, which is definitely a good source of high-level challenger play in Korea. It was actually Ruler and Ignar having a blast defeating Faker in that game.
So does Jin Air just go for the obvious ban and ban Vel'Koz? Because they've banned away Ryze first. Vel'Koz is the laner we see Crown take into Azir very happily, and does have a very good matchup, depending on where the rest of the team comp is at. So waiting to see what the second ban will be from Jin Air. I think if they do ban away the Vel'Koz, Talia will be the choice, just to go for some early shove and to potentially play around the Zyra Khan. And they do go with the Vel'Koz ban. Again, this is a pick really engineered for the Azir matchup in particular.
I love the grin on Crown's face when he sees the ban, too. He's like, it definitely feels good when you're a high-level pro and you get people to ban out your pocket pick.
Alistar going to be banned away. We'll see what Jin Air want to pair for Teddy in the bot lane. See if Wraith is going to show something different. Been a lot of Braum duty, obviously, this season. And Braum is available, can stop the Feathers in their tracks, so you can understand it as a pick. We were hoping for the crazy. I still remember last year where Wraith was playing Leona way out of meta, Lux support, and all the fun ones. Won't be this time. Looking for the counterpick top laner onto Cuvée, but Camille is up, and why not Camille is the way I kind of look at it for the side of KSV.
Definitely some questions that I'd like to be answered. You know, no Sion, no Camille. A bunch of these picks that we've seen up towards the top, but both of these teams just entirely ignore it. Unless we see it here,
could
on the side of KSV.
Could definitely be last picked for Jin Air. Waiting only on the mid lane. The Talia I mentioned is the farm lane that you would take into Azir with what's banned away. So pretty standard, not being a successful pick in 2018 for KSV. But of course, Crown, one of our legacy Talia players, brought it back into the meta after it fell off after the nerfs just before season 2016 Worlds. The final pick here, Camille set up. It could be a Jax top into Gnar. We saw it last season, not this season though. So waiting to see what the final decision here is for Jin Air.
Cho'Gath.
Okay, so it's going to be a top laner into the Gnar. It's not the Camille that conspicuously will go through pick and ban. Also would have given them some big engage, but they decide they're more about the ability to answer a bannered up minion and in general, the general safety of a Cho'Gath. And we do see it here. Very interesting to see So1 jump onto the Cho'Gath. It just felt like Camille will be the choice. It's not been a successful pick for the side of So1 with any regularity. And for the first time I think we might see in a while, we do see Camille fall through pick and ban.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to see, but you know, even after the fantastic performance Kive had on the Camille, Gnar is still his most played, sitting at 7-2 on that pick. Camille is sitting at 5-2, so he's good at both, feels more comfortable with the blind pick Gnar. It does make sense on the blue side. We'll see if things change up for game 2.
I mean, honestly, the Gnar and the Taliyah do define Kive. There are both career picks for them this season, and last season he brought back the Gnar to the meta. So Kive, very well known on that. Crown brought back the Taliyah at the end of 2016 around I Am Gyeonggi into 2017. So while the pick of the Taliyah hasn't worked for them, it's a strong draft. They want to play around Xayah Rakan with the Skarner and the Taliyah looking for pick power under turrets. A lot of turret destruction here, and also the general strong laning phase of the Gnar. So certainly a power draft you feel good about as a KSV fan. When we eventually zoom it over to the side of Jin Air, interesting to see where they've gone. They've very much set up around the Tristana. Tristana takeaway in the first round. They have a lot of Baron secure and Baron damage as well. Cho'Gath and Jax can situationally duo it down depending on how far ahead the Jax is. So that will be something for KSV to remember when we hit post 20 minutes.
Well, guys, the countdown has started, so let's jump into game number 1 of Jin Air GreenWings up against KSV. Fans coming in here for game number 2 as well. No big change up there.
Teddy's having a grand old time.
You don't see that Taliyah or Tristana skin.
We see the
often.
skin, not that chroma though.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chromas going on with the Commando skin.
Definitely one of my favorite things to do as Taliyah is be super obnoxious before the game even truly begins, is just poke in the lane. You can get a bunch of rocks thrown and some early damage for some lane dominance if you do it right.
Teddy's playing with fire here, trying to contest the Spire on bot side. Actually a really defensive stop from Jin Air. They did not contest the top side Spire. Teddy's going to reclaim the bot side Spire. Just with the plight of Jin Air in 2017. Shouldn't be surprising that KSV holds the match record over them. Very hard leash with the Deadly Plumage first happening on the bottom side to get Ambition going.
Well, we're going to get him going, and then we're not going to see him for quite a while. Even though he is on the Skarner, it is Ambition. He is the herbivore to Mt's carnivore.
But then he has that one game out of 10 where he's recklessly aggressive. Speaking of reckless aggression, Deadly Plumage first makes people walk up, but it's not really a winning trade overall. It's a pretty even trade between the bot lanes. Still on patch 8.4, so the range nerfs for Tristana aren't live yet. Her laning phase, not going to be a powerful one. No Caitlyn to truly prey upon it, or a Varus either. That's why we saw Tristana so early. And a lot of the strategies in the mid game will be around the turret destruction, but for now, it's got to be respectful in lane as level 2 first hit by the Lovers duo.
Yeah, you mentioned they haven't had much success on the duo 0-3 together, Xayah and Rakan for Ruler and Core JJ. Would love to get the stats on exactly which games those were, as certainly after their last couple of wins up against BBQ and KT, you can say that overall as a team, it seems like they've fixed some of the errors they were making in their downswing.
That's a good point to make, because Xayah Rakan sounds perfect for a duo that has spent a lot of times in scrims, but also very visibly on the challenger ladder playing together. So there still is a lot of power to unlock The Tristana lane is a strong one, and it is, one of the safer times to bring out the Tristana, but there's a reason the Tristana was deprioritized until, honestly, early last week when, out of nowhere, teams started playing much towards her 3-item win condition of basically being unable to be contested by basically any champion if she has summoners up and hits 3 items. But for now, Jin Air happy to give up lane control. There is one other win condition to always speak about, the Teddy win condition. But on patch 8.4, we saw even Jin Air try to go for the ultra delay last week and not be able to do it against MVP in game 2. So even 6-item Fountain Laser Teddy does have some weaknesses.
Yeah, we've seen it a couple times before. That was a weird rocket jump. It's knocked up midway and decided she didn't want to have as much fun. Just went for a small jump this time.
Skarner spotted on a ward that was already placed by Jin Air.
Yeah. You mentioned maybe this could be the game where he goes aggressive, but he literally clears his entire jungle, including both Rift Scuttlers, by the way, and then goes down the river to his last remaining jungle minions, and I'm sure he's going to back after this.
And Ambition has one sound playing in his head. It's ching, because when you get both Rift Scuttles as a herbivore jungler, you feel like you won the game because of the extra gold and the fact that your laners can be like, well, you didn't gank, but at least you were there. And for the turnaround here, we'll see if we actually get the stun register. It does, but the satchel charge trade's not fantastic.
Yeah, Wraith taking a little bit of damage down there. Just try to heal up and survive. So far, seems relatively even. The wave is pushing into Teddy and Wraith, so they should be able to catch up in the CS difference you see right now.
No big worries for any team. The tier in the mid lane, confirming the Archangels become the core item onto the Taliyah. Well, they're going to get the first back in, and Core JJ joins him for a date with the Fountain. This is fine for the Tristana. She's happy to match in CS. We'll stay for an extra wave to push in. And when it comes around the jungle, Umti will always have more options pre-6, as there's a lot of playmaking available on the Jax. But so far, it's actually way behind in experience, because how are you going to match the double Scuttle Crab and, in general, zero-sum method that Ambition has put into this game, trying to get the fastest level 6 possible?
Yeah, Skarner's pretty fast in the jungle, so certainly ideal for a guy like Ambition. And okay, we have Core JJ making his way into the mid lane. Grace taking a little bit of damage, but very calm and collected, doesn't blow any of his summoners.
Grace, like love, has been one of these mid laners who's surprised us and been impressed by situationally, but hasn't been flawless, of course. We'll go back, doesn't have to use summons. I thought a heal would be drawn, but doesn't even get that. Nice gank timing by Core JJ, because Teddy and Wraith overstayed for the extra wave, so it gave a lot of space for him to come and make the big play. Stays in lane, no regen available, and Ambition's around.
Looking for the back right now, as nothing's really going to happen here. Waiting for that level 6. Certainly the Skarner is going to have a much stronger level 6 gank compared to the Jax.
Very heavily investing into battling this game. You notice that Umti did not go for any resolve trees, so it goes for domination second for the zombie wards, and obviously very standard to go precision and to press the attack. I wonder if we will see a very cheesy attempt at Baron around the 20-minute mark. Definitely, if the entire KSV team focuses on a cross-map projector around bot side, Azir, Jax, and Cho'Gath have secure and good damage onto the Baron, so waiting to see if that will happen. Otherwise, so on, he picked Cho'Gath into Nari, knew how it would go. Lane control, about a minion wave's advantage to QV, but otherwise, the Cho'Gath, very sustained, very happy.
You mentioned for Crown that he played Galio twice and lost both games, and then he shelved it and began to play some Vel'Koz instead, but Taliyah also, in terms of stats for him, sitting at 0-2, hasn't had a lot of success on that champion just yet. We'll see if he can turn that around in this game.
Sort of comp where the Taliyah really made a lot of sense. He can battle against the Azir. He likes the Karma into Taliyah matchup because of the ability to follow in that matchup, but when it came to this game, I think being able to rotate around Zyra Khan is what he wanted to do. Was my honest opinion for Crown is his best role in the team as things stand. It's just a nice trade going for Teddy and Wraith, is to play around Ruler. Ruler has been their most consistent player, as we see Ambition very deep in enemy lines.
Yeah, the Predator gonna come in there. The stun is gonna interrupt the movement, but here's the Weaver's Wall. Crown trying to make it work. They're looking to turn onto Grace here, who will just forfeit that, hop over the wall. But at the end of the day, no red, no kills, and KSV looking to back off here. Ambition gonna take the Spire first.
Yeah, felt really overforced by Ambition. This lanes weren't in position to respond. The Weaver's Wall was late, and the Gnar was... QV seemed very unconvinced the gank was going to be pulled off, so a very important cooldown is now unavailable as the Impale allows Grace and the other laners to push up for a while. Weaver's Wall down as well. This helps the bot lane to the greatest degree, because now as Teddy and Wraith, you can look for the damaging trades. They took a defensive trade earlier that was in their advantage, then backed away to respect globals and the potential of the Skarner to be there. The respect goes down, so we'll see if they take an aggressive trade in the next few minutes.
Yeah, it's interesting to go from the first series we had tonight, which was just non-stop action. King Zone being a little bit too aggressive, making some mistakes, but certainly made for some fun games. And then we go into KSV Jin Air, who famously are more so macro-oriented teams. They like to take it slower. And so far, our expectations have been met. No kills just yet, nearing the 10-minute mark.
It's all about when teams wake up. And while you are 100% correct that both these teams are defensive teams, Jin Air says, if we don't get any sort of snowball going through Teddy, through Umti in the early game, let's wait for Teddy to hit 3 items. So they're very happy with the pace of the game being slow. KSV just used their big cooldowns, so because those were misfires, they are also delayed. So I would say the team setting the pace in this game for the early game is going to be KSV. They have more early game options. And Jin Air, you know, because Umti was facing down the Skarner and didn't have a lot of great options, this was always going to be the reality. And it seems like everyone has the same script we do, as we have 50% Gathering Storm. It felt like 50% Stopwatch was a problem. This 50% was a reality.
Even more than hearing it said in interviews, like, yeah, I know we're a passive team or anything like that, what really admits it to everybody is how many people on your team take Gathering Storm. Now, we don't know if it's the teams reacting to the opposing team or if it's just knowing themselves very well. But either way, 5 Gathering Storms. If the game goes long, certainly these players are going to be gathering a storm, if you will.
I feel like Riot doesn't have a great handle on that particular part of the sorcery tree because Scorch is so weak now. You don't really get a lot of oomph out of it, so you don't see that as a big pick. And the other choice is situational. I believe it's water walking in the same area, so why not Gathering Storm? It has so much value late game that it's kind of hard to ignore. So I would love a bit of a change in that tree, or a buffer or nerf to runes respectively, as King Zone, like we say, are the early playmakers, so how about a free Cloud Drake?
KSV gonna get that easy objective, and yeah, I mean, at least they've shown they're willing to make, well, hold that thought, Umti thinking about going in here. He's gonna counter-strike, dodges that seismic shove, showing good knowledge about the abilities of the Taliyah, predicted that one coming.
Back into mid lane, back into normalcy. Jin Air gonna be very happy it was a low roll on the Drake. Wasn't a Mountain or Infernal for the early game, so happy to keep playing defensive.
And speaking of which, a second Cloud Drake here. Certainly could mean that Ambition can get out of control. And Umti, this time, he has no escape. Looks like first blood coming in, gonna be handed over to Core JJ, getting pretty bloodthirsty on that recon.
It's a bad read by Umti. Had his flash up, didn't know what to respect, didn't know that the Taliyah would be there with the seismic shove and dies. Now KSV can get control around the bot lane, and that's the dream for the side of KSV. They want to jungle around the Tristana lane, stop the laning phase as early as possible, and that's why they're piling everyone here, and there's no Jax to respond.
It's 4 members and QV backing off of the top lane, just saying, if you need me, I'll be there, I got my TP. And Teddy's just like, I don't know where to go. Do I go home? Do I stay under the turret? Looks like for now they're going to challenge a little bit, but the blue buff will be handed over, so they get that objective.
So Taliyah is here. They dodge away. There's no information for Umti. He doesn't have a ward to ward jump to, so he just straight up dies. A lot of ults used, but a successful one. Seemed like they needed more information there. If they controlled the river brush, maybe they could have expected the Rakan coming in, but didn't put 2 and 2 together, and it's a nice little win there for KSV. Pick up a very delayed first blood compared to our first series.
Yeah, generally you like to give pro gamers the benefit of the doubt, and you might ask, why did he save his flash there? I think it was a mistake to save it for sure, but I suppose in his mind he thought, well, I'm pretty screwed. We got Skarner, we got Rakan coming in, Talia could come over the wall. Like, is there a point to using my flash? Maybe I get a couple of flashes out, but instead he decides to keep it for one reason or another.
Well, if he makes something with it in the next 4 minutes or so, then you'll say worth, but on first inspection, seemed like it was optimistic that he wouldn't just be giving up his life. Nice seismic shove by Crown that time.
Crown up level here. This is really the power of Talia. If you can engage and get on the front foot in an engage, it kind of leaves your opponent wondering, where do I go? Do I go back? Do I go forward? And Crown taking control of the mid lane, looking much better on the Talia.
Good to see him with a bit of confidence behind him. They're actually going for off spawn.
Oh, look at Crown all the way in behind him, and here's Kyuve. Finally, he has that flash available. Does it save him this time? The answer's going to be yes.
Pop toward over. Nice scouting coming in from KSV. Couldn't do it last red buff. Able to get in there this red buff as Crown, half a second away from interrupting the recall. Got to say, Jin Air's game plan, which, like we say, is a lot about delay, gets harder and harder on patch 8.4. It's why KSV was seen as a team that will be relatively hurt by the changes, because there's less vision to play defensively. So playing defensively, you get caught more often than ever before. That's why we still see Skarner involved after losing a lot of games in the past couple of weeks. You come in, you're told there's less vision. Theoretically, there's even more threat of the Impale. So Jin Air on the back foot, Jin Air giving away the maximum it feels like. First red buff, already the first Cloud Drake, but now it's going to be the Rift Herald as well. Difficult to lose the minimum on this patch, and really not getting a lot of value out of the Jax. We'll wait and see if he goes for a tank build or the more standard Trinity Force second.
Yeah. I mean, we've been a bit critical of jungle Jaxes, jungle Camille's that get behind. They love the Trinity Force. If they could get it, it would be nice. But when you get so far behind and you lose all that farm, it becomes a question of, do I struggle to claw myself back with a build like that, or do I go more tanky? So far, definitely a guy that has shown he likes his Trinity Force, and he's like, okay, I'm just going to do it. Doesn't matter my position.
Kind of looks like a love heart between the blue and the pink on the chart here, but there is blue signs on the red jungle, which says that Ambition was invading, so confirmed by Spo TV. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Don't see that all too often. Trying to fight around the Drake quadrant. Still a minute 30 till the spawn.
Certainly, I feel like this trio you see here, Crown, Ambition, and Core JJ, they've been working together so well. Their macro play this game is definitely different when you compare it to the MVP series, where they just looked flat and not proactive at all. This time around, it's just they're all communicating very well. Core JJ has roamed a couple of times. Crown and Ambition going into the enemy jungle at multiple very important times. It looks just very beautiful to watch. This is the good KSV.
More proactive than the normal KSV even. Even in their wins, they're usually pretty passive, so it's good to see them with some positive macro, aggressive macro. I've loved Crown in this game. Being on the front foot at all times reminds me of the good days of Spring last year, as that didn't do enough damage to go through the passive shield of the Rakan, so Rakan still gets the recall.
And I mentioned how Jin Air can be on some days, off some days. I feel like generally that's based on how is playing, really. They've defeated big names such as SKT, Afrika. Outside of that, haven't taken down too many other members, or other teams rather, outside of, Kongo Monster, MVP, guys like that. But so far, we'll see if can turn it around. It definitely seems like he hasn't had the greatest game one so far.
Seeing him on the defensive. Once again, KSV in full control. They've got the pick CC. The items aren't there for Teddy. Difficult to contest this, but they're leaving their options open.
Ronku gonna miss, but yeah, KSV just Very respectful. But here, as I say that, the Predator coming in. He's going to grab that Jax, looking for a second kill. Trying to disengage here is Raid. Teddy jumping in, trying to help out. On the back foot, Crown looks like he might go down, flashes the wall. And eventually he does go down to the feast as Sowan finds him in the jungle. Going a little bit too deep by himself was Crown in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, it looked like that would be great for KSV because hit the Unbreakable very early and also the ultimate, but couldn't profit from it, and Crown on the back end was pinched. That's all you could say. No value from the Nara that fight, big value from the Cho'Gath. They turn onto the objective, no feast for it. It should be an easy Drake pickup for Jin Air, and as the team looking to scale, they'll feel really good about actually trading up pre-20 minutes.
Yeah, it certainly is nice to win a fight finally. Let's see exactly what Crown does here.
Watching Crown, it's a nice play made by Grace, and that was more about it. So Crown was too aggressive, first turned on by Grace, a nice move there and so on. Well, he has Rock Lady for lunch, I guess, in this particular fight.
He can eat pretty much anything. I'm sure he's happy.
He doesn't have a very discerning palate, is what
Yeah.
we've learned. He eats Malphite, for goodness sake.
I know.
It doesn't sound tasty at all.
Malphite Talia, that sounds awful. But, you know, everybody on first glance is like, well, was that Crown or was it Clown? But really it was Grace going in and making the good play. So props to him.
Standing gold, certainly, for KSV to pick up. Gonna be a couple of low turrets, and Cho'Gath no exception. Gonna be the max HP build, you'd have to think, going for the big feast damage. And Cho'Gath's really good at dealing with a Talia, Silencer, Feaster, and that's most of her life gone. And also be used to repel something like the Skarner. Just watching Teddy continue to farm up, getting towards the Infinity Edge. 2-item Teddy, about 2 to 3 minutes away.
He's getting pretty close. Curious about the next item here for Crown. That needlessly large rod, I believe, only is formed into 2 items now, the Spellbinder and the Rabadon's Death Cap. So he's going to be going for one, as that's his next item after the Seraph's Embrace here.
Let's give him instant shove if he goes for Death Cap. More damage to minions, usually what you're thinking of when it's not. Like the Liandry's. Liandry's definitely standard onto the Talia, but compared to previous, I think there's more room to skip it after the big kind of down on the power level overall. Don't have that flat pen anymore, so seems to be focused so far on just flat AP. Does scale well with the Seraphs. Seeing the bot lane push. It's later than they would have wanted, but they're putting it all together.
It's not going to be sailing on that wall. Doesn't get broken by Wraith, who decides to just play it safer. And again, it's not a play. They're not trying to pick off tons of members. They're just trying to get the turret. They get that objective. Very KSV-esque. Works out for them.
And timing-wise, a little bit later than they would have wanted, but still they are able to break the outer turret line in every lane at 20 minutes. So that's still bodes very well, and a lot of extra gold onto the Rakan in particular, with the global gold going on to the support. That he now has the Zeke's Convergence already.
This time, Umti's got a ward. Everybody mentions Lee Sin as one of the big guys that was nerfed indirectly by the Tracker's Knife being taken away, but also Jax, another guy who loves to hop towards.
And that means that they're actually going to be low on sweepers for a lot of this game. He probably needs to hold onto this warding trinket, otherwise a seismic shove into his death is almost a certainty. So when it comes to clearing enemy vision, that's going to be very difficult. And they have so many playmaking options on the side of KSV, especially when Weaver's Wall is available. It's going to be very difficult. You definitely need to walk with friends. If you're the Jax, well, if you don't have vision, at least you can jump to the Braum. They can trade places in amusing fashion as well. So if that means that the aggressive war is going to stick more, which you follow the logic of there being less sweepers, Juve is set up for a big Gnar ultimate from the flank. So far KSV playing around their vision line, pushing in. Ambition going for the Spire.
Big respect shown. Didn't really know what was on the other side of that, as there was no vision, so it just flashes away. Takes another option away from Ambition, who would want to Predator flash ultimate, but had to lose it there.
Confirmation of the death cap when we see the second is large rod. It was a big buff to the item overall, because you don't have to sit on an amp tome and 1100 gold. Kind of Rageblade kind of effect going on there, where there's a lot of junk you have to finish off the item with. So it now being so slot efficient, double Needle's large rod into 1100 recipe, which is cheaper than Needle's large rod, is a big indirect buff to death cap. We don't see it second item so much so far, but I think it certainly could get there. Will the rupture hit, Valdez?
Oh, boy. Yeah, it's interesting, too, because, I mean, you look at the items on the side of, well, now you don't, but you looked at them on the side of Jin Air. And
no, I missed them, actually.
There's not a lot of MR, is what I'm trying to get to. If you're looking at the front line, you mentioned the Cho'Gath just stacking health. Well, extra AP is going to be better against that instead of just the Magic Pen.
We're just staring at for now. Hopefully we'll hear from production what's going on. Hopefully no game issues. No Zach in this game, so hopefully we're not needing to chrono break.
Yeah. Let's hope it's just a quick hardware issue. But as it seems right now, it looks like they're looking at the game. We'll see what happened to Grace's computer. If it was a game issue, a sound issue, not really sure just yet.
Doesn't appear to be a toilet issue.
No, yeah,
So
he's
that's
still
good
in his
news.
seat, still drinking whatever's in that bottle.
I don't think it's water. It might be water. It could be some sort of isotonic drink as well.
Yeah, one of those. Oh, well, you see the cap there.
Now we know. Bakari sweat.
Yeah, there it is.
Sounds like we actually have a keyboard issue.
The
A big
space
keyboard
bar,
issue.
it's just pressed indefinitely. They're looking to swap it out.
Did we see the brand name? That seemed like a name and shame zoom right there. It's like, what brand was that keyboard?
Yeah. Spo TV with all the angles here.
Well, that keyboard seems really cool.
It certainly lights up a lot more than the other one.
There you go. Well, that was an awkward issue. He would have been centered the entire time. That's definitely a spacebar, Grace.
Yeah. So now it works. We got the update. As
We missed out on the keyboard issue. Keyboard issue would be a fun one to pop up and reuse when someone like misses a flash or something. You can pop up the keyboard issue.
You just got to fix your fingers, right? As Khan would say.
That's some Korean advice right there.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not the keyboard, guys. It's just your own fingers.
Well, we're hoping that means we get back into game and answer the day-old question of did the Rupture hit or not? Rupture looked very close.
I'm guessing no. I feel like in a game where you're playing Cho'Gath, you expect to hit that ability about 2 or 3 times maximum, at least in the pro level, you know.
Unless there's a lot of help from your team, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear the game is ready, Valdez. That's exciting.
I know. It's definitely better than staring at his keyboard. The Rupture did not hit.
No. The health bar was full, so we're going to assume the Rupture missed. And Jin Air, again, very close to 2 items
Look
on
at
Teddy.
Ambition.
Why
keeps
is he
on
still
getting
there?
caught here, and, well, that's 4 members this time around, and see you later, Ambition. You asked for it. He loves those spires, I suppose.
He definitely misses his kind, playing so much around a spire. He already had to defensively flash on, what, a minute ago in game time? That was,
That's just asking for it, right? Like, it happened once. It's going to happen again. They will have vision there.
bit of a Skarner issue in that particular play. Backs away, though.
You know, that rocket jump ability is pretty good.
You're going to put it out there?
You get hit by any kind of CC. Doesn't matter. You're going to get out. A very safe 80 carry. Ooh, nice damage here. Look at that. Double needlessly large rod, and Grace has half his health gone.
And it's a tank Jax. Look at this, Umti.
Oh, he's looking for it. Grace is going to get caught here. Crown, or rather, CoreJJ goes in and cleans it up. Picks up a second kill. The only kills on the side of KSV all going over to CoreJJ, but nice read there by Crown.
Nice prediction. They had a ward to see him enter the bush and made the smart decision that he'd be looking for a greedy recall. So he's taken down. This means there's going to be a power play as Skarner is there. And Grace feels like the game has been short, but it's been 24 minutes, so still a 25-second death timer. A secondary pick onto Umti will be massive, but for now is denied. But Umti's gone tank. He's gone for a banner of command. Which right now is not going to be doing too much work as Baron started by the side of KSV.
Crown on the Talia has so much unworked ground to work with here. Certainly one of the best at zoning, and there it is. Gonna have to hop the ward and potentially flash into the pit if Umti wants to try to go for it. The TP now coming in. They're looking to get onto Umti. He's getting low. That one. Let's see if he actually goes in here. Sowon's still very healthy. He's forced to flash away, actually. Now Cube is going to be on the duty. It looks like they don't want to go into the 50-50 Baron. They're going to accept it there. Let's see if they can get any picks on the backside. Doesn't look like it, so a Baron attempt is pulled off and nothing happens.
They didn't have enough range to auto the Baron. If he had range to hit the Baron, then they could have DPS'd it down and Cho'Gath feasted it. So there was a lot going on there. Why it seemed like a bit of a fiesta around the Baron. KSV say no harm, no foul. Go for a free Mountain Drake to make their next Baron take a bit safer.
Yeah, certainly it's going to be pretty fast, too. Once you get one Mountain and Taliyah Xayah is pretty nice. Completed death cap here for Crown, who, after helping pick up that kill, is looking to run away with as much AP as possible.
Umpty in the pit. He's enjoying himself. He's got a second control ward, no problem. He's gone sweeper, and you can see already the cost is basically a control ward. It's a lot more expensive and less cost-effective for him to use it for mobility than in other scenarios. They needed a second sweeper, and there was really no one else to pick one up because Cho'Gath spending most of his time in a side lane. You do talk about those indirect nerfs. Two sweepers, predictably, Skarner and the Rakan, and getting a third sweeper seems almost impossible for teams on this match.
Yeah, we got a bit of a skirmish here in the mid side. Nobody's taken too much damage, but I was looking at Taliyah up in the top. They've immediately gone into 1-3-1 already, even before the Baron has been taken. Just having Nar push bot, Taliyah up top, always ready with the Weaver's Wall.
QSS interrupts the two item as an attempt by Grace, it misses.
And that
he's
might
actually
mean his
alone.
life. He doesn't have any other ability to get out here, but he's fighting very well. The Seraph's gonna help Crown for just a bit, but there's 3 members on 1. Nobody can help him out here, so Crown does go down.
Very amusing passage of play where it looked like it would just be a solo kill for the Taliyah. But eventually the Braum could join, they use some extra flashes, they get the kill, and this buys Jin Air more time again. Build is slowed down for Teddy, just like I mentioned. The QSS is there, but they're moving again and again towards 3 items. The scaling is happening, and predictably with a team like KSV, they don't have the full plan to always push forward, given their usual role-playing as more of the shield against an aggressive team.
So no objectives able to be taken after that, but as you mentioned, the real objective is the time. So Crown comes in here and decides he's going to be the one that needs to clear the ward. Does flash that, but after that, nobody can help him from here.
Nope, the ultimate elapses, they turn in, they take down Crown, use some extra stuff, but they get him down. That's very important. For the power of the side lane, eventually, if they control this red side jungle, Jax can just use the banner minion on a cannon and then go for Baron control until he can't push out the top wave as a response. So the banner will definitely help them when it comes to dealing with the Taliyah. Now that we incorporate the fact that Umti is going a tank build, they still do have 2 great threats on the side of Jin Air and some true damage. So they're not going to lose out on damage, and we can definitely praise going tank Jax over DPS Jax, because the Trinity Force can be a luxury item later in the game for split push, but for now, it's much more of a frontliner trying to control space.
He's doing just that, but let's see how it goes as Predator not available just yet. Ambition really wants the Spire. His long-lost love.
It's his magnum opus. Winning Worlds was not enough. He will control that Spire, Valdez.
He's pretty happy on the Skarner so far. I feel like he was having a nearly perfect game up until that moment.
Someone hasn't had a perfect game because he's been in lane as Cho'Gath against Nar, so it's frustrating. Get his items together, and it will be the max health build going for the Gargoyle Stone Plate next.
This time it's Corey JJ who nearly goes down and trying to take out a ward.
Teddy canceled about 3 autos there, so wasn't able to do any damage. Still a completion short of his rapid fire cannon. We all know what happens next. And Ambition got it, we can confirm. Congratulations, Ambition.
Oh, he's gonna grab Umti here. Nice disengage, but there's no way to get him out of harm's way this time around. There's now Cuvée waiting over the wall here. That's a big pick onto the jungler. They want to take out this mid-tier 2 to gain even more map control.
They want to fall back to Baron as well. Still going to be about 20 seconds on the cooldown of Flash for So-On. So even the Flash Cho'Gath not going to be something to have to respect. KSV control the area. They can go for another pick. Poor JJ still has the grand entrance up. Baron at 1,000.
Only Wraith gets over the wall. Grace has an ability, and so does Teddy. But no feast for quite a while. They're trying to burn this one down, and no steal is going to come in as the smite is on to the Baron. So KSV able to get that one. Ruler pushing forward. Nice little knockup from Core JJ. Gets low. Will it explode and kill him? The answer is no. But the Baron taken. KSV should be happy about that.
Weaver's Wall was so big there as Cho'Gath awkwardly had to watch on. 8-second duration is something that cannot be answered. If he flashed over, he wouldn't have been able to gap close to the pit. So he watched the replay. They turn their attention, get the Spire, and instantly just take down Umti. What's he going to do? Taken away. They have plenty more pick CC. Xayah is hitting her item spikes. They turn onto the mid lane. They get the Baron. Great passage of play for KSV.
Yeah, you ask, what can you do? Especially when you're behind as the Jags. But if you were a bit more tanky, perhaps you could have some follow-up from your team. But Jin Air was not grouped up together. There was no real way to save his life. Not enough disengage from the Braum ultimate as well. And it's just been the slow creep up near at about 7,000 gold advantage now for KSV.
And also item timings for everyone to take advantage of the next pick. They have the Void Staff completed onto Crown after the death cap. 3 items have been hit on Tristana, but the Baron buff stops there from being any real offensive way to use theirs. As we're back to this Ambition versus Spire.
He wants it again, and he's going to get it again. So really happy about that.
His Dear Diary today is going to be about that Spire, to be clear.
He's trying to write his name on that one permanently. They don't quite have enough control just yet to make it permanent, but...
Looking for another pick onto Umti. He sees the control ward and gets the message clearly.
He's going to move in and actually take it away. Ambition was always threatening. But the bottom tier 2 goes down to the Baron minions. The Cho'Gath couldn't stop that one. And now we got to push up in the top side. We'll see if Crown wants to expend Weaver's Wall just yet, or if they're just going to use the minions to push that one in.
Banner of Command, there's a Bannon. KSV Bannon in full effect, pushing in top side. Teddy cannot get there even with his long range at level 16. Has to respect it, so the first target goes down. And try and break the base, which is harder to do. Trying to threaten onto Teddy.
And there's the wall. This is what you expect. It will very nicely protect it. Look at even the damage coming out of Ruler onto Raid, just hurting them in the corner like sheep. Empty trying to get out of here, but eventually the Bannon will do its job as it pushes in. Now they're looking at the inhibitor.
Wraith not able to interrupt the wall or stand in front of the Bannon to buy time. No ability for a turnaround. This will be the inhibitor going down for KSV. Very, very simple, and the Bannon the true MVP through all of it.
Yeah, so quick and clean out of the side of KSV. There were a couple of hiccups in the mid-game, but now it seems like they have their heads back on straight. Ambition, he doesn't have to worry about the Spire. He doesn't have to die for it this time. It's just the slow push in. The Baron buff about to go down here. MT thinking about an engage. Gets the Featherstorm out here, but as you can predict, he's going to go down as well. But it's a trade 1-for-1. Crown now on the right side. Has Cube to help him out. Ruler still doing the damage. Stunned up here with Sowan by Ambition, but he does effectively disengage. Graves doing a nice bit of damage to Ruler means that they will not continue pushing in the mid lane.
The 1-for-1 is a trade up for the side of KSV. Support for jungler. Umti's role in this game when the team fell behind has largely just been caught in the front and doesn't have the tracker's knife for the sort of mobility he's hoping to look for on the Jax. So maybe it's time to shelve the Jax, LCK. We're not seeing really any value from it. Wanted some combat options, but wasn't able to pursue them. And now we fall back once again to the predictable, all the eggs in the Teddy basket, whereas KSV are a couple picks away from just ending the game around the Tristana.
They have so much pick potential, and so far Jin Air as a team have not been doing a good job of trying to punish them when Ambition flashes in. They got the 1-for-1 the last time, but will we see it as KSV gets even more ahead in the future?
We're gonna catch the replay. The moment Umti goes in, he gets the ultimate from Ruler, but you need to have the rest of your team in position. The Righteous Score needs to be earlier, so they're already running into silence rather than much later after Umti's death is basically confirmed. So they're not threatening. It's not a trade-up if you get the Xayah ultimate and they can just turn around and kill you for it. You're only blowing one cooldown and giving up your life. KSV back away. Another item complete onto Ruler. He already has the Lord Dominic's Regard completed. Teddy's getting there, but will it matter? Your first thought right now is no.
Oh boy. 1260.
That's like double 612.
Yeah, it's very close, Papa. It's just maybe about 30 damage away. KSV here has the most damage in the game, and they're trying to get on top of him now, but he has his minions right on time to hop away. And away he does go. I was looking at Crown's items. I think he's doing literally the highest AP build that you can possibly do on this patch. Picks up an Oblivion Orb. I'm not sure about AP, but just straight up damage certainly seems to be the most. I mean, he already has the Void Staff, and packing on the Oblivion Orb on top of that seemingly is another nice chunk of damage.
I mean, Oblivion Orb basically represents 200 AP if he's able to stack it up. There's a lot of spell weaving between the two. But the Oblivion Orb for the most max penetration. Guess walking towards the Morellos here to basically try to cut down on the healing. Not massive, but the Cho'Gath especially. Big healing champion. Ola walks up. Breaking the base in a second spot is really the only thing that right now KSV is frustrated around. But get your waves in the right spot, Weaver's Wall, and we've already seen it happen a couple of times.
I mentioned this before, but it's really cool to watch teams like Kingzone and Rocks Tigers play and have them be super aggressive, but then you move on to a very different style of play where KSV come in here and they're just so clean. Very little mistakes, always going for the objectives, trying not to die. And so far, it's just a totally different style of play, but it's a style that wins you games. It's one that has won them games in the past, and so far looking good when they do it correctly in 2018.
I mean, you look at the KSV side and you say, yep, this is about what you expected. But for Jin Air, in their best games, they've had multiple different ways to win. They've been very aggressive around their jungle. Teddy's been a cleanup. Sometimes you have to fall back to Teddy, but usually they have much more aggression in the early game. They have none of it in this game. Turning on to KSV.
Can he get away? He flashes and hops, but Teddy is going to punish him. But KSV in the end will be the punishers as they immediately turn onto the Baron, basically for free.
I mean, you could argue they would have got it anyway, but a 1 for Baron doesn't feel great. My issue is that Jin Air from the start showed their hand and said scaling. And even KSV, one of our biggest scaling teams that went 3 times Gathering Storm, understood that the door was open for them to play a very standard macro game. And Jin at every moment said, no harm, I'm over here, I'm farming, I'll be fine. But the game is being decided around Jin Air, and it seems like too much respect. You mentioned already when it comes to the teams they've beaten, the teams they've lost to, when it comes to the higher opposition, they've consistently been second best. I'm just not inspired by their approach in this particular game. It didn't seem like they had a game plan to win. They seemed to be looking for just the scaling, and to me, that's a very negative game plan for a team that has shown it can be vibrant and aggressive on their day.
Yeah, they're certainly a good team, but look at this. They're going to trap all 5 members. Everybody's got to use their dashes, and KSV decide that they... it's only Soan who doesn't have a dash, it turns out, but in the end, they don't want to engage just yet. KSV was all the way back in the base. Just respawned. He's going bot to push that one in.
If this haven't been retaken yet, so 2 open. Jax answering the minions in top side. There's the Bannon. What's the plan, Jin Air?
What are you going to do, really? Umti's going to get a double stun, but then immediately go down. See you later, kid. As there's just nothing he can really do. He's trying his hardest, but too far behind and doesn't have his team to back him up.
And it seems like Umti understands that, hey, when you're facing a Bannerman, you got to engage. The rest of the team is leaving him out to dry, and it just looks comical. It looks like he's just running it down, but unfortunately, Cho'Gath is a secondary initiator, so needs Umti to start things up. Wraith is just standing next to Teddy and saying, maybe 6-item Teddy can win us the game.
Yeah.
But between the two, there's no synergy in this particular game, and unfortunately, just means the objectives will continue to roll for KSV.
Looking for ambition now. Certainly had an option there, but Grace doesn't want to go too far deep, especially as they're being pushed on all fronts. KSV's down on the bottom side. Teddy, they're going to go 1v1 here, not able to knock him back. Actually pushes him away. But by some time, the push in the top side. Ambition and Crown a bit low. JJ and Ruler in the mid lane trying to push here alone. KSV returning to the bot side. Grace getting way too low. He actually just goes back into the base here.
This turret will inevitably fall, Valdez. It doesn't seem like Jin Air are going to put up a fight. That means there'll be 3 exposed inhibitors. But for now, They are thwarted by the minion wave, but Roller brings it up. They still have a Baron, so they should get one single auto in here.
The wall's going to come in, and it will not do much, honestly. It traps Grace on the other side of the wall, which is pretty nice. Can't be there to defend, actually. So I said not too much, but it's just enough to get that mid inhibitor and the bottom one here for Kevin.
What happens when there's no proactivity? Jin Air leave 2 inhibitors go down. They're going to be on their ultra defense, but we know that Elder is about to spawn. In fact, it is already on the map, so Elder's ready to go. Face check comes in.
It's got to be Wraith. It has to be someone, and he does actually get away somehow, some way.
He has unsealed spellbook, so he could theoretically teleport in, but they have no vision in the area. They have to give up the Elder, a 3-stack Elder. Goes the way of KSV just as the Baron elapses. So they're going to have even more power to load up, and doesn't really feel like Tristana damage is going to matter, as Xayah and her feathers are going to do short work with the front line of Jin Air.
It's definitely just insane amounts of damage. You got a fully farmed Xayah here with the Zeke's Convergence on Rakan. You got Knight's Vow from Ambition on the Skarner. And then the secondary threat of Talia, who's gone full damage. No defensive items outside of the Seraphs. So what are you going to do? You're down a lot. It seems like really seems to be the only one that's trying, to be honest.
Trying to engage. Yeah. The rest of the team seems to think that peeling back is right, but that's inherently a disconnect. We know that the teams that have succeeded against the Baroned up empowered cannon minions, the Bannon as we call it, have been the ones that have tried to engage, because if you don't engage, they already saw their top lane inhibitor, turret and then inhibitor die to the power of the Bannon. So they don't seem to have an agreement there. It makes the Jax pick look like a laughable one because it's really not contributing anything positively to the team. And now we're watching as Jin Air have to repel 3 minion waves, and soon to be 3 minion waves of super minions.
Gonna trap Grace again, and there's the pull onto the Cho'Gath. That's the damage I was talking about. He's got a stopwatch at least, but he does go down in the end. The burn from the Zeke's Convergence and the Elder Drake gonna help him out and get that kill. Ambition now on the run. And it doesn't matter, 2 members go down. KSV, they could push in if they wanted to, but they're scared of Teddy still. Teddy on the Tristana and Grace on the Azir. Certainly, you have to respect it.
Trying to bring up the minion waves. Teleport coming in from Rakan to bring in bot lane. Like you say, safety first is the KSV way. Teddy jumps in.
Yeah, Nar flew away from that one. Looks kind of funny. But here we go. Let's see if they can put on the Miracle Defense. It's going to be a caster minion. That is bannered up. Crown in the front, trying to do some poke. Wraith is going to be the unbreakable wall for Teddy and Grace.
10 seconds on the respawns. We'll see how aggressive KSV is going to be. Speaking of aggression.
Looking for that. He does have his QSS, but it's not enough in the end. Ruler will burn him down. And Empty and so on now do respawn, but KSV, they're not going to respect that. Another knock up here onto the Cho'Gath, who has unlimited health. Empty going down, taking so much damage to Talia, who is incredibly farmed. The last turret is going to go down as KSV are going to take the Nexus and take game number 1 in 43 minutes.
Game timer suggests that it was a close game. The kills too as well, only 8-5. The KSV in full control from the early game because Jin Air was showing passivity that they haven't shown against the bottom teams on the ladder, but do show against the teams that clearly they respect, because unfortunately KSV was given too much rope and they just strangled Jin Air out of the game. Jin Air did not feel like they were a true competitor and were just waiting on the final timer. It ends up being 43 minutes, but KSV have been in the lead for all 43 of those minutes.
Yeah. Lots of young players on the side of Jin Air. You can tell they're mechanically skilled, but sometimes it just looks like their head's out of it. Maybe the mentality, as you said. Maybe just too much respect to the world champions of KSV. The first time they went up against KSV, it was an 0-2. They're hoping that that is not repeated here tonight. And guys, that's gonna be it before we go into a break. Join us in 10 minutes for game 2.
안녕하세요. LOL 신문십답의 박진원입니다. 이번 신문십답의 주인공은 CS 1465개의 기록을 보유한 선수입니다. 바로 진에어의 테디 선수죠. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
그리고 테디 선수를 잘 감시할 오늘의 제이스는 바로 엄티 선수입니다.
태기 형한테 워낙 한도 많았고 괴롭힘도 많이 받았는데 오늘이 풀날인 것 같네요.
내가 제이스 하고 싶어.
늦었어.
Let's get started. First, can you introduce yourself and your team?
말하라.
예? 다시.
What's your name
I'm Teddy.
and your team?
그러니까 형을 소개해달라고 팀이
아,
영어로.
I am Jin Air Teddy.
Okay. Where do you want to travel with the Jin Air plane?
네?
Where do you want to travel with Jin Air airplane?
때려라.
어디로 여행 가고 싶은 거냐고. 진에어 비행기 타고. 안 되면 한국으로 해.
없어요.
될 거야. 없어? 맞아.
So you broke the record for CS, finishing the game in 1,465 CS. How do you feel?
뭐라 해야 되지?
나한테 한국말 원해줄게.
되게 뭔가 오묘했는데. 그냥 내가 왜 여기까지 게임을 했지? 그냥
I didn't know just like play like this for the wrong time. I was confused. Something like that.
Then what are your tricks for farming so well? Tips, farming tips.
팁.
CS farming.
I think I think.
Then who's the most noisy person of your team?
네?
Team? Gaming house? House? Noisy, loud.
아 여기?
No. House. Game house, you guys in one.
그냥 게임하우스에서
어.
누가 제일 시끄러워?
So loud, noisy.
형!
엄티요. 엄티.
Then what does Umti mainly talk about?
He's all day crying.
Crying? Crying over what? As an AD carry pro gamer, what is an A tier champion in solo queue?
칼리스탄?
Any playing tips for it?
피지컬?
Physical.
피지컬.
아, 그래. 뭐 이거는 뭐 재능이라고 하는 거니까 혼자 그냥. 오케이.
할 거잖아, 내가.
일단 첫 번째 거 한번 때려봐. 일단 형 어느 정도 되는지 확인만 해볼게.
테스트.
한 번만. 일단 오른쪽 귀가 멍해졌다.
Then is there any other player from other teams that you want to get closer to?
I want to be closer with Core in KT. Yeah, I really like him. He's just the team Score is just a fun player, and he's so good player. So I want to be closer with him.
역시나 엄지 선수가 영어를 너무 잘하셔서 심층 질문을 준비해봤습니다. 준비되셨나요?
도대체 무슨 질문을 준비해 오셨길래 그렇게 막 심층이라고 또
한번 가보시죠.
예.
And how would you like to define leadership?
leadership? I think just I don't have the leadership like other guys like Faker or. But if you guys are saying me for leadership, I can't answer it.
What is the most important thing in your life?
Important thing and for fun and teamwork, that is my important thing.
Okay. 여기까지가 진에어 그린윙스의 엄티 테디 선수였습니다. 저희는 다음번에 돌아올게요. 안녕.
네, 이제 신문 십답 이제 끝났는데 신문 십답을 해가지고 좀 테디 형도 오랜만에 좀 때려본 것 같아요, 사실. 그래서 좀 재밌었고
이번 계기로 제가 영어를 너무 못하는 거 알아가지고 원래 알고 있었는데 그렇긴 한데 그래도 영어 좀 공부 좀 해야 될 것 같아요. 좋은 계기였던 것 같습니다.
여기까지 진에어 그린윙스의 엄티
헤디였습니다.
안녕히 계세요.